Hello, everybody, and welcome to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Very grateful that you would. Tonight, we are digging into the case of the so-called Idaho Four, right? These are the four young college students, Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Kaylee Goncalves, and Madison Mogen, who were brutally and viciously murdered. And the person who was arrested for their deaths was Bryan Kohberger. He's not on trial yet, but we are going through this process of getting this to trial. Now, the latest thing that has happened in this case that has been, released to the public, it happened 2 days ago, there was a response by Mr. Kohberger's defense attorneys to the state's objection to their motion to wanting to change venue. And this is about, what is this? Like a 23-page document, I want to say. And I want to get into it a little bit because it does talk quite a bit about some of the things that they have discovered, that the defense says they have discovered as they're moving forward to trial. Obviously, they do not want to hold this trial there in Latah County, right? They want to hold it somewhere else, probably off in Boise or something like that. Because, in fairness, there has been a lot of attention to this case, both there in Moscow, Idaho, and throughout the entire nation and world, frankly. So I don't think it's unreasonable that they would want to change a venue. Of course, nothing is easy when it comes to these kinds of proceedings. So I want to take you over to this document and let's just go ahead and dig right on into it. By the way, if you're new around here, if you want to get my attention in the comments, just put GF in your comment, okay? All right, let's dig in here. Now comes Bryan Kohberger, by and through his attorneys of record, hereby submits this reply to the state's objection to his motion for change of venue. Hey, Brutally Honest, thanks for being here. I don't know what happened with notifications on this one because everybody seems to have missed this one. In fact, guys, let me just pause here for a second, because if you want notifications, my amazing mods over on the fish tank right here will notify you when I am going to be going live. And I let them know earlier today, so they probably sent out that notification message on Facebook a while ago or earlier today. So anyway, there have been a lot of people that did not get notified of this one, but we're going to carry on, okay? And thank you. I'm glad to see you all. Okay. The pressure to convict Bryan Kohberger is so severe in Latah County that a Latah County survey respondent said if he wasn't convicted, they'd burn the courthouse down. Outrage would be a mild description. They would probably find him and kill him. There would likely be a riot, and he wouldn't last long outside because someone would do the good old boy justice. These are all quotes, of course. Enraged, strong opinions, firing of officers, riots, parents would take care of him. The mob mentality within the community is the exact reason that statutory grounds prior to selecting the jury exist to move venue. Given these responses from potential jurors in Moscow and the state's acknowledgement that a remedy is needed for a jury to be selected, the state recognizes the obvious. An enormous venue problem exists. The state brings forth no experts to counter Mr. Kohberger's, who are all clear venue must be changed in this case. Yeah, there was a motion and there was a hearing, in fact, that the defense brought all of these experts to testify as to why there needs to be a change of venue here. Okay, the state does, however, acknowledge that Bryan Kohberger has a constitutional right to a fair trial with an impartial jury. Mr. Kohberger's motion to change venue is supported with a memorandum, expert affidavits, declarations, and exhibits that preview the testimonial evidence the court will hear on August 29th. Yeah, I jumped the gun on that. Okay, the hearing is on the 29th. A rebuttal declaration of Dr. Dahir is submitted with this reply. On June 28th, 2024, the Idaho Supreme Court pointed out that a change of venue, quote, is not an unreasonably high hurdle for a defendant to clear, but it does require proof of prejudice or a showing of a reasonable likelihood of prejudice. This makes me believe that the defense were like, okay, well, we need to clear this hurdle. Let's go ahead and get proof of prejudice. The court is also concerned with the accuracy of the pretrial publicity, the extent to which the articles are inflammatory, inaccurate, or beyond the scope of admissible evidence, the number of articles, and whether the jurors were so incessantly exposed to such articles that they had subtly become conditioned to accept a particular version of the facts at trial. This is one of those things that I wonder about, because for those of us who are in like the true crime hobby, right? The true crime community, we think that everybody has seen every case and everybody knows what's going on in every case. But I am constantly reminded as I am proven to myself that I don't know about all the cases that are out there. Case in point was my live stream from just a couple of days ago, Deanne Warner, right? This is a case that's been going on for 3 years, and I had not covered it. I wasn't even tangentially aware of it. So, I mean, I might be trying to have my cake and eat it too here. But I mean, let me tell you what I mean by that. I'm constantly wondering why a prosecution would argue against a motion like this, because they should want a fair trial, a fair jury as well. So I don't know why they fight this, other than maybe they just want to win. I don't know. But anyway, where was I going with that? Have my cake and eat it too. It doesn't matter, but it's like, I was talking about how we sometimes, when we're in the thick of things, think that everybody's in the thick of things, and maybe they aren't. Maybe the prosecution is like, no, we can get a fair jury here. We just need to do the voir dire is how they usually say it, right? We need to go through the voir dire, and we'll select a jury of his peers that are unbiased. I don't think the defense is buying that. Okay. Boo. The amount of media coverage in Latah County is the highest in the state and does not wane. There are more than 1,300 specific media stories covering Latah County. These stories are in print, digitally, and on radio and television. Media coverage continues, and the coverage is often inaccurate and inflammatory. The coverage conditions the potential veneer panel to think that of Mr. Kohberger as guilty, and that various bits of information are factual and support guilt. The media coverage inundating Latah County does not tell citizens that no evidence has been presented at this time, that there are no facts on the record at this time, that Bryan Kohberger is innocent, that only a jury decides what the facts are and whether the facts show beyond a reasonable doubt that a person is guilty. I mean, that's probably a fair statement. I would say that most articles don't ever say, hey, by the way, this person is innocent until proven guilty, but they often, in fact, I don't know of a single media outlet that would not use the words alleged, allegedly, accused of, police say, words like this, because they don't want to open themselves up to any type of defamation lawsuits, right? So media companies are very careful about that. When I was kind of going through my internship, as I was, learning my reporting craft, man, my editors were harsh on me about that stuff. You cannot, Gavin, you cannot state that as fact. You have to say that somebody else said that as fact, right? So this is probably a accurate enough statement. Okay. Publicity regarding Mr. Kohberger. Hold on. I'm sorry, guys. I have to sidebar here for just a second. Okay. Just today in my publication, we got a call and I was assigned to call the person back and talk to the person about a article that one of our staff member had written about a criminal complaint for alleged domestic violence, right? Now, this is a report about something that the police allege that is in a public record. And in that report, it says, according to court records, or court records say, or the complaint reads, or, it says those words all the time. But the person that called us was like, I've got a lawyer involved. We are going to get this taken down. This is not accurate, those kinds of things, right? And we get those kinds of calls all the time. So maybe the public doesn't read those carefully written words well enough. Only lawyers do, I think, right? But anyway, I think that is probably a fair enough statement, this last little bit of that last paragraph. Publicity regarding Mr. Kohberger has been ongoing since December 30th, 2022. It rises and falls, but does not wane. The media measured and presented by TrueScope in Exhibit C of the memorandum in support of change of venue focused on traceable media. That means that media in a particular location was measured. As is pointed out by the state in footnote 1, found on page 2 of its objection, publicity regarding Mr. Kohberger generating from YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, podcasts, streaming services like Hulu and Netflix were not included in TrueScope's report. Those highly inflammatory and prejudicial and inaccurate media forms have reached Idaho's citizens, but measuring them specific to location is not possible. Haddon directs the court to consider media coverage in the current venue and logically venues considered as alternates. TrueScope cannot measure the location of who reads Facebook, especially private groups, nor can it determine the location of who follows certain podcasts. These limitations do not change the data. Latah County, making up only 2.75% of Idaho's population, has received 36% of the media coverage. This is the highest ratio in the entire state. Latah County, with the largest population in the state, has significantly less coverage per person. I wonder if that means that they're going to argue that the county that has the lowest percentage of media coverage should be where they go. I don't know. Coming back here to I'm trying to think. YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, podcast, streaming services like Hulu and Netflix. I think sure there's a lot of inflammatory content here on YouTube and certainly on Facebook, certainly. But I think for the most part, channels that do live streaming like mine, or even channels that do kind of true crime story time, we do our best to tell a fair story, I think. But maybe I'd love to hear your opinion on that. Maybe we are, maybe I'm wrong. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Unrefuted survey data justifies a change of venue. The state's claim about the survey are wrong. Give me a second. You guys are talking here. Yeah. Putting GF doesn't immediately get my attention. That just helps me filter things so that when I decide to read comments, I'll be able to find the ones that you guys want me to read. Okay. Okay. The state's claims about the survey are wrong. Dr. Edelman designed the survey questions and how, depending on the participant's answer, the order of questions would flow. The survey lays out the questions and responses for all 4 counties and demonstrates that the survey was conducted exactly the same way in each county surveyed. The only difference is the number of participants. The survey report shows the impact of the media coverage. The more media items a potential juror knew, the higher the prejudgment for guilt. Latah County participants knew more media items than the other counties. The state criticized the content of the survey, complaining that not enough of the surveyed items were false. Inadmissible or false statements are the information that this court must consider. The state further criticized the survey, asking the court to disregard it entirely, alleging the survey did not include record of citizens in Latah County who did not want to participate in the survey. That assertion is incorrect. The last page of the survey report provides a table depicting the total amount of numbers dialed and what happened. In support of its argument, the state cites the court to a study done by Pew Research Center. However, only a partial statement from the study was included. Dr. Veronica DeHeer has reviewed the survey done in this case, as well as the objection filed by the state. She opines that any non-response rate does not create a bias or invalidate the survey, Exhibit F1. Dr. DeHeer declaration. The survey conducted in Mr. Kohberger's case is unrefuted and is reliable. Guys, I have a little bit. I'm not going to call myself an expert in this, in the craft of polling and surveys, because that is a science all to itself. However, I am a data analyst and I have certifications in data science and data analysis. And so part of that job is statistical analyses. So I agree with what has been stated by the defense here, that non-answers, right, non-responses don't indicate a bias in the data set. That is not something. Well, if that were something that I'm trying to think, no, it wouldn't. Non-responses would not have anything to do with bias because, yeah, the sample size would override that. Anyway, I'm just saying, if the state is objecting to that, I think that's a bad argument. Okay. Part 3, the state's proposed remedies. Expanding to Nez Perce County, vetting or sequestration are not valid remedies supported by experts. That might be Nez Perce. I don't know. Expanding the jury pool to, let's call it Nez Perce County, is not a remedy because the residents of Lewiston and Nez Perce are in the same designated market area as Latah County. They have been exposed to the same excessive media coverage, have proximity, and share the same pressure to convict that exists in Latah. Even the two counties combined do not reach even a third of the size of the available jury pool in Ada County. The residents of Nez Perce County have been exposed to 36% of total media coverage and are more than 10 times more likely to encounter coverage as compared to residents of Ada County. Vetting, as proposed by the state, does not work. For decades, the courts have recognized that simply because a jury of 12 can be selected does not mean that the jury is impartial. The requirement of the law is not satisfied by the mere impaneling of 12 men against whom no legal complaint can be made. The defendant is entitled to be tried in a county where a fair proportion of the people qualified for jury service may be used as a veneer from which a jury may be secured to try his case fairly and impartially. I don't know why lawyers do this with the Latin, man. I just don't get it. Venire just means to come. Why don't they why do they do that? It drives me nuts. Okay, and uninfluenced by a preponderant sentiment that he should be flung to the lions. Okay, wow, that's case law from 1950. All right, this is why attempts to mitigate juror bias are best done where there has been less emotional investment and less publicity exposure regarding the case. Dr. L, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, Dr. L, whatever, Defendant's Exhibit E, page 12, and answers to the jury surveys in Ada County show less emotional connection in total contravention of Latah County. When asked how the community would react to a not guilty verdict, surveyors answered, they would go on with life as always. I think they would take it well. I don't know if there would be super strong feeling. That is what a jury is for, to decide based on the evidence. If a jury finds him not guilty, then he wasn't guilty because they hear the evidence at trial, and I think they would accept it. Rather than produce an expert who refutes the studies and opinions of Dr. Alayli and Dr. Veronica DeHeer, the state points to cases that have not analyzed such research. Judge Boyce in State versus Daybell explains well how the case law dating back 50 years doesn't address the concerns of today. For example, once can only imagine what the justices who decided, I think that means say one. One can only imagine what the justices who decided Dowd 50 years ago would have thought about that concern today, when every potential jury has instant access to limitless media literally at their fingertips on a handheld device. Sequestration of 18 jurors for 3 months is unnecessary and untenable. Determination of sequestration is not timely, as no motion for such is pending before this court. Nor does the state produce details regarding costs to support the validity of its assertion that sequestering jurors from Ada County and Latah County is more cost-effective than moving the trial to Ada County. Idaho Criminal Rule 21A and Idaho Code Section 19-1801 were implemented for a reason. This case is that very reason. Yeah, that's interesting. So, I mean, I don't know why they care whether it's a jury from another county that comes into the county or they go to that county. I don't understand why they would care. I would love to know what you guys think about that. I don't know. I really feel like this isn't that big of an ask to change venue. Okay. Precedent in Idaho supports a change of venue. 3 capital cases in Idaho have recently had a venue change: State versus Lori Vallow, State versus Chad Daybell, and State versus Brian Drips. All cases stem from southeastern Idaho. The courts in these cases all granted a change of venue with a motion supported by evidence of extensive media coverage. None of the cases presented extensive expert surveys, and none of the cases presented experts specializing in the science behind juror decision-making. Of the 3 cases, 2 went to trial, and as the state points out, there were lines of spectators outside of the courthouse in Ada County. Jurors in both cases provided in-depth media interviews post-trial and expressed that the Ada County court staff and marshals provided great infrastructure that made a big difference in their ability to withstand the significant commitment. This infrastructure includes room for jurors to spread out during lunch breaks into jury assembly room, many bathrooms to make short breaks efficient, travel to and from the courthouse with security, ability to avoid the press and spectators by being bussed underneath the courthouse, and experience of the courtroom deputies to provide security. Such accommodations are not possible in Moscow. The facilities do not exist to accommodate a jury of 18 for 3 months in a case where the public and press will be lined up outside of the exterior of the building. The precedent of courts changing venue in Idaho and the experience of Ada County having handled high-profile cases should be followed and used in this case. Mr. Kohberger provided this court with extensive and unrefuted evidence. The evidence includes proof of excessive media coverage in Latah County that is both prejudicial and false, along with declarations of experts explaining why remedies other than a change of venue are not enough. This evidence will be further developed at the change of venue hearing. Again, that is on August 29th. The traumatized town of Moscow is understandably filled with deeply held prejudgment opinions of guilt. The surrounding area of Nez Perce County and Lewiston are not situated differently. The issue of venue reaches finality with a change to Ada County because the Latah County mob mentality will never produce a venire, once again, with the stupid Latin phrases that results in a cross-section of the community, signed Elisa Masseth. And I want to see, a couple things here. Only a third of the people in Ada County recognize the case. Wow. Huh, interesting. Oh, these are other cases. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Let's see. What are these? This is what just happened here? Yeah, these are the exhibits, right? Volume of media coverage over time. Wow. Holy cow. When was that? May of 2023, December 23. Yeah, man. Anyway, that is the let's put their picture back on there. That is the document. Let's see what Volsgal says. Gavin, it's a very high profile case, so it's not going to be possible to find the perfect venue. Yeah, and I don't think that they're looking for the perfect venue. I think they're just looking for a venue where they can do their voir dire and have a jury of 18 people that they believe are impartial. Honestly, I don't think there's no such thing as an impartial juror. But when you get 18 people, or well, it's usually 12 people in a room, those biases can at least be mitigated by other people's biases, right? So, yeah, I don't know that they're trying to find a perfect solution. They think that Ada County is the right place. Amanda, Gavin, glad to be able to watch your videos again. This case is so wild. I'm glad that I'm back. I did leave the house today, guys, for the first time in many days. I'm able to walk right now. It's painful, but I can walk, which is great. Volsgal says, anyone else feel like Gavin has been gone for too long? I've been reduced to political stuff. Listen, I want to save you from politics, okay? I'll come back. We'll do more true crime stuff. That's funny. Thank you for that. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, Autumn did tell me in a direct message that she hasn't been keeping up with any cases. I thought that was really sweet. When Gavin can't be here, I like reviewing his content. Hey, that reminds me, guys, real quick, if you go over to Ye Old website, remember you can always join the fish tank, which is where we like to hang out and chat. But if you go to the website, if you guys are new and don't know about my case file, here are all the cases that I have deep case files on. Okay, so find a case that you like, and here's a good one. The Eric Richins homicide. This is the Corey Richins case. I've got so many case documents here. So, and a good timeline and everything. And I've got that on a lot of different cases. So if you are new to my channel, gavinfish.com is a great place to get your true crime fix. Also, if you're into this kind of thing and you want an almost daily, I try to do it daily, but I miss a day or two here or there, newsletter that is just curated true crime content, which includes usually a blog post or a blurb from me, 5 or 6 news articles that I find interesting, and several YouTube videos from either me or people that I really admire. Go ahead and sign up for Crime Cod. I don't sell my email lists. They're on a secure server, and you can unsubscribe easily. So if you want to, if you're hooked on true crime, Crime Cod is a good way to get your fix. All right, let's come back over here to let's see what else there is before we go. Holly says, I think he is guilty, but I'm open to changing my mind pending evidence. Yeah, and Holly, the paragraph in the motion or in the reply to the motion is that that says that no facts have been presented in this case. There have been some facts presented in this case because we got the affidavits of probable cause. There are some facts that are out there, right? However, the only judges of the facts are the members of the jury, and that is absolutely true. And so if you can go in there saying, I could be swayed, then I think that you could be a good juror. STL Cards says this trial can end up on Mars. He will be found guilty. That's funny. Let's see. Keep going down here real quick. Sorry, guys. Let me just scroll here. Brutally Honest says, I think your reporting has been balanced and reasonable, something that many fail to accomplish. I do my best to be as reasonable as possible on these things. Like, all of this stuff is alleged, right? All of it is just alleged at this point. There are cases that I have to say that I've done the deep dives. I have become convinced I've become convinced about how things happened on several cases that are infuriating to me. So I'm probably not as balanced or reasonable on those cases, but I think that I'm righteous on them. Right? If you want to know what they are, let me point out a couple cases that I think that I am unreasonable but righteous. The first one that I would point to is probably David Elmquist. David Elmquist was found burned to death. Let me bring you guys over here. He was found burned to death, and the police think that he did it to himself by pouring crude oil on himself. But what they don't account for, crime scenes photos aren't loading. I need to fix that. But there is a crime scene photo that shows that something that was in the fire was moved afterwards. That is one that bothers me. Keep going down. Sarah Easton. This is one, again, where the official story is that she did it to herself. But I believe that the most likely suspect, the person who's most likely to have done this to Sarah, is probably her husband, if she didn't do it to herself, which I don't believe she did. Another one that I'm very passionate about is Ellen Greenberg, obviously, guys. Ellen Greenberg is a case that I am extremely passionate about. I do not think for 1 minute that she ended her own life by stabbing herself in the back of her head and neck 10 times and then doing another 10 to the front of her. I think that the police should be looking at their number one suspect, which to me would be her fiance. And then last one I'd point to is Amanda Winkowski. And these all tend to have something in common, right? That they don't believe that these are homicides. But Amanda Winkowski was murdered, and she did not overdose on drugs. I have proven that just by using the toxicology report, and I've done it to the satisfaction of the district attorney in Erie County, New York, and still nothing is done in this case. I believe that this man right here is the one who's likely to have killed her. So getting back to your comment here, I try to be unbiased and reasonable, but there are some cases where I just can't. I think I'm reasonable, and I definitely think I'm righteous, but balanced, probably not. That's funny. Let's see if there's just a couple more that I should bring up here. Webweaver68 says, I would rather see them bring in jurors than move the venue. I think that's reasonable, though they pointed out that Latah County doesn't have the same facilities that Ada County has. So yeah, I think that if you're trying to accomplish the goal of getting an unbiased jury, then bringing them in from another county seems reasonable. However, I think it also means that they would need to be sequestered somehow, right? So many change of venue tells me the people in that county cannot or do not have an open mind to listen to the facts. I think that's what the defense is counting on. TMI Steph says, whenever I find a new channel I like, I binge all their content from the beginning. That would help Gavin tremendously in making this his full-time passion gig. Oh my goodness. Thank you for that shout out, TMI Steph. That is awesome. Volsgal, I've been watching your videos on the Kohlhepp case from a bit ago because I live in the same city and have friends who rented a house from him. Wow. Really? So Volsgal, you're out here in the Commonwealth? You're in PA? Is that where you are? Or was it somewhere back west? I don't know. Marianne Thorpe says, the allegations are pretty strong. I would be open to a wow moment, but at this point, I feel he is the guy. I think if the DNA was on that knife, I mean, you'd have to make sure that the, what do they call that? The chain of custody was unbroken, and you'd have to be able to trust that the police did a good job. But yeah. Brutaliana says, I understand. I totally agree with the cases you just mentioned. Yeah, these are crazy cases. Thank you. Volsgal, I feel like that with the Riley Strain case. I'm not buying any explanation from that because it doesn't fit, in my opinion. Yeah. Thanks for those comments, guys. And thank you for joining me today. Remember, you can always catch me at gavinfish.com if you ever want to get in touch with me. Best way to do that is right there on the website. You hit the contact button and you can send me a message. Ooh, that reminds me. I'm going to do this in the next few videos, guys. Probably do it earlier on. I just forgot. There is a person who has been tipping me anonymously, who has given me some very good tips. I have no idea who this person is. They have not shared their name, their contact information, but they have been giving me very good tips on a case that I care deeply about. If you are that person who is doing that, I would really love to actually talk to you. If you could please reach out to me and just give me your contact information, I will keep it completely off the record, 100% off the record. But I really, really want to talk to you. And I think that at this point, I hope that you feel that you can trust me because I have followed your tips and they have led to some like monumental results in that case. Monumental results. So if you are that person who gave me that tip or those tips, please reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you. I would love to, I could do it in person. Doesn't even matter where you are. Okay. I could do it in person. So please, if you are that person, you know who I'm talking. If you are that person, you know who I'm talking about. These are major tips on a major case that have made major impacts in the case. Please reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you. And I promise you, I can keep everything off the record. I have never given up a source ever. I've never even slipped. I never have or will do that. So please reach out to me. And if you are a person who has a tip on another case, anybody else, if you guys have tips, this is the way to reach me. You can be completely anonymous. And also you can tell me who you are and ask me to keep you anonymous, and I will do that. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I deeply appreciate it. I bid you adieu, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.